Why pay regular price when you can save money on every purchase with WagerBucks at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo? WagerBucks are now eligible for use on not just daily, 3-day, and 7-day passes, but all long-term and seasonal packages up to 1 full year. There are tons of options available for every budget and size of better, from as low as $90 gets $100, all the way up to $3,500 gets you $5,000. Save every day on every pick you buy with WagerBucks.
Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today. I am back. Great 2 days. Teddy Covers joining me. I'm Lawrence Presman. You're watching the #1 sports betting daily show on the planet, Wager Talk Today. And we got a great show, Teddy. Jimmy Adams joining us. We're going to talk Texas and Rice, Panthers and Saints, and the St. Louis Cardinals and Mets game. And then Andy Lang at the bottom of the hour. 3 NFL prop bets, and you guys got to stay tuned for that because Andy's prop bets are gold. Teddy, before we get into stuff, how are you? I'm sure you just had an incredible vacation, as in you weren't around me. What's going on? Oh, by the way, monster start to the football season for you, dude. Congratulations.
Yeah, well, I thought I was going to go 4-0 in the NFL, and then you texted me and called me when the Ravens are up 14-0, and instead I only go 3-1 for the weekend. So thanks, Prez. I appreciate that. The ultimate mush comes in and mushes my play to take, nothing to complain about. 8-3 college start, 3-1 NFL start. But since you FaceTime me during the game, I haven't won a game. 2-2 last night in the 8th with Seattle, and then boom, the bottom drops out of that game. They end up losing 8-2. Tough beat for underbettors in that game as well. But thanks for mushing me, Prez. I appreciate it. Good to see you again.
So, Teddy, I mushed me as well. It was 17-10 in the fourth quarter. Who was looking better, your bet or my under?
They were both in good shape. With the Ravens having the ball up 17-10 in the fourth quarter, I wouldn't have traded away your under. I wouldn't have traded away my Ravens. Then Lamar fumbles, and that's a whole different game down the stretch.
But
that
guys,
one play
honestly,
changed side and total.
The moral of the story, flat out, and this is very important to everyone, all you listeners, watchers, viewers, fans, clients, and that is, according to Teddy, and I'm just going to agree with him, I have the ability to affect endings of games. So, guys, head over to WagerTalk.com and buy my lifetime package. Like, as in never bet anything that I'm not betting because, hey, I got the ability to affect games, Teddy. I mean, why play you? You don't have that ability. I do.
It's a great ability to have, but the problem is you don't have the ability to change games positively, only negatively. So whatever that's worth. Of course, in my big game breakdown today, we were talking about USC and Washington State. We'll try to gauge how the Trojans are going to react to Clay Helton's firing up in Pullman, the national TV game on Saturday. Prez, let's start with what we learned. What did you learn last night? Or should I start with I
want to talk first before we get into any of that. I want to do a couple of things. First, I want to shout out Spencer Brass's dad. Spencer Brass is a longtime listener of this show. His dad, Mike Gold, just retired after teaching for 40 years. Spencer emailed us, Teddy, and said his dad is a massive fan of yours, and as a retirement gift, would like an 8x10 photo of you signed. If that is not the craziest damn thing I ever did here, what do you have to say? By the way, Mike, congratulations on retirement, and thank you for teaching all the kids out there. Teddy, you going to do the 8x10?
So I appreciate the kind words. Really, I do. I genuinely appreciate it. Enjoy your retirement. I don't have glossy 8x10s to sign, unfortunately. If you want to send me a picture, I'm happy to sign it and send it back. But the Teddy covers autographs. There'll be few and far between. I appreciate that. So thank you. And again, I appreciate the email and congratulations on your dad finishing his 40 years.
Yes, sir. And just to let everybody know, a Teddy cover signed 8x10 on eBay is literally worth $0. Teddy, before we get into what did we learn, let's talk some baseball real quick. I mean, dude, the ending, 17, 18 games for most teams left to go. The wild card race is just unbelievable. Right now, out of the blue, you got St. Louis sitting on the top, Cincinnati a half game back, San Diego a full game back, Philly 3, Mets 4, and then on the American League, Toronto, Yankees, and Boston are basically tied, with Seattle and Oakland right behind them. This is drama at a maximum degree, and what I wanted to ask you is, how do we as bettors navigate through a situation where, put the Dodgers aside, St. Louis, Cincinnati, San Diego, Philly, the Mets, that's 5, Toronto, Yankees, Boston, Seattle, Oakland, that's 10. We have 10 teams that are legitimately in the race. Are you looking to bet on those teams, against those teams, stay away from those teams? How does the tightness of this wild card race affect the way you're handicapping baseball?
The only way I can answer that is start with what bettors learned last night, which is going to lead right into the answer. Because what did we say about September baseball? All right, it's not something we've only said once or twice. We've said it a number of times on this show, at least I know that I have. We're looking for dogs in September. We're not looking to bet on the must-win teams. We're not looking to bet on all of these mediocre. And again, the NL wildcard race is close because everybody stinks, all right? The Cardinals are not a good team. The Reds are not a good team. The Padres are not a good team. The Phillies are not a good team. The Mets are not a good team. All 5 of those teams are mediocre, all right? I don't care how you want to look at it. They're all mediocre teams. When mediocre teams are being priced like elite teams because they must win, you make money betting against them. And look last night in MLB. Pirates, plus 150 against the Reds. Cubs, plus 175 against the Phillies. Cardinals, plus 160 against the Mets. Rockies, plus 140 against the Braves. The Guardians, plus 110 against the Twins. Yeah, I started calling them that. I have to. Otherwise, I'll never learn it. Rays, plus 125 against the Blue Jays. Rangers, plus 180 against the Astros. Royals, plus 150 against. This is all last night. A's had a 6-0 lead. Didn't matter. No good. Tigers, plus 190 against the Brewers. Dogs come to bite in September. And that's the way I'm approaching the back end of the MLB campaign. We're not going nuts. All right. But we're looking for dogs who are live, and we're looking to fade some of these false favorites. In fact, that's what I've got up in MLB action today. Fading one of these supposed playoff contenders was no business in the price range that they're in
today. Teddy covers everybody. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. For me, I'm treading very carefully. I've actually slowed down my baseball a ton. I did lose last night, but I've had one play in the last 4 or 5 days. So, where I was playing one play every day in baseball, now it's Now I'm just treading carefully. Let's bring in Jimmy Adams. Jimmy Adams, welcome to WagerTalk Today. We love having you, man. It's always good to listen to you, the way you handicap games. How are you? How was week 1 in the NFL and week 1-2 in college football?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Prez and Teddy. Week 1 could have gone a little better. We kind of were treading water. But, off that 80% preseason, we were going to see some regression, right? You're not going to keep that going forever. And you're not going to win every week. So we cashed a 5% winner on Sunday with the Broncos and a couple baseball plays to start the week. And hopefully we will have a big bounce back weekend starting with the Thursday Louisville game.
Yeah, well, let's get into it. Texas against Rice. 1-1 Texas, 0-2 Rice. -26. It was -25. There's still 25 and a halves around. as of now, about 66% of the tickets being written are on Texas. We have a total of 52.5. Take this game apart for us.
Sure. So classic bounce back spot after a tough loss to Arkansas last week. Texas goes to Arkansas, and Arkansas showed that they're a really good team, and maybe they surprised Texas. Maybe they outplayed them. I'm not sure. I'm not really looking to back Texas when they have to step up in class or when they have to play these SEC type foes. But when they're asked to play inferior opponents, I think this is a great spot off a loss taken on Rice. So quarterback Casey Thompson's in at Texas. Hudson Card's out. He'll probably still play a little bit, but Casey Thompson's the guy under Sark. Thompson played the second half versus Arkansas. He went 5 for 8, 57 yards, and he added 44 on the ground, and he added 2 TDs as well. So he's waited a long time for this opportunity. Thompson hasn't started a game since high school back in 2017, so I expect a big performance from him. I expect a big performance out of running back Bijan Robinson, who didn't have his best showing against Arkansas. Remember, this is a team that beat a really good ranked Louisiana team by 20 in their home opener. So then we have Rice that's 0-2 off a 44-7 loss to Houston. Their quarterback, Luke McCaffrey, 9 for 19, 86 yards and 3 picks in the game. So we'll look for Steve Sarkisian to have his guys ready and get the offense moving. And I love the spot for Texas to just blow Rice out of the water coming off that loss.
So I watched the Rice-Houston game start to finish last Saturday, and I'm with you on Rice being something of an overvalued commodity coming into the season. They were not able to hang at the line of scrimmage with Houston in that ballgame. Would you talk about this being a bet-on spot for Texas? I got to question that. They're coming off a huge game against Arkansas. Up next, their Big 12 opener, in-state rival Texas Tech. In between, little school, no interest. They know they're going to win. How confident are you that Texas comes and brings their A game this week as opposed to just going through the motions and taking care of a lesser foe and win this game by a couple of touchdowns and move on? Have you seen anything to indicate that Texas is looking and focused on Rice at all? Or is this one of those classic sandwich spots, the lesser game between two meaningful games that sometimes fall prone to flat spots?
Yeah, so normally I think it would be a flat spot if they were able to get out of Arkansas with a win. The reason I'm just looking at the spot is because of the loss. And, the Texas program, they think they're one of the elites in the entire country. Whether or not that's true or not, the viewers can decide. But, they know they're going to win the game, but they're upset off that loss. And I think they want to make a statement. And what better way to make a statement than with a huge win against Rice and get yourself back on the right track and prepare as we head into these big games that are following. I don't think they're going to have any trouble. And even if they're not 100% focused, they should be able to just roll Rice.
Jimmy Adams, everybody. You can find Jimmy at WagerTalk.com. Jimmy, New Orleans playing the Panthers in the NFL Week 2. And look, I mean, here's what I know. I know that New Orleans are not going to average 38 points a game. And I know their defense aren't going to average 3 points a game. So right off the bat, I don't believe the New Orleans Saints are as good as they looked last week. Carolina, on the other hand, 19-14 win against the Jets. They had the game totally under control, and they really let it slip. 2-point conversion away from not covering against a bad football team. Now we have the Panthers at plus 3.5. Man, this game seems like a pass game to me. How are you looking at this?
So for me, this is your overreaction game of the week, right? The public's going to be all over the Saints. They're off that 38-3 win over the Packers. Not sure what Aaron Rodgers was doing, a guy who doesn't necessarily want to be in Green Bay from all indications, and he comes out and lays an absolute egg. And then the Panthers, like you said, off that 19-14 win over the Jets. Sam Darnold came out pretty strong, I thought. We know he's got an arm on him. He threw for 279 yards with a TD, and he rushed for another score. Christian McCaffrey, how about 187 yards from scrimmage? Yeah. So And then Jameis Winston, he couldn't look any better. I mean, we have to remember that this is a guy that threw 30 picks a couple years back. No one wanted him to be their starter. He fought for the job with Taysom Hill this offseason. I'm not saying Jason Winston's not going to have a good year. I'm not saying the Saints aren't a good team, because they are. I'm just saying we're probably going to see some regression out of Winston. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens against this defense here. So obviously, the Saints are without Michael Thomas. And then news broke yesterday that there's a little bit of a COVID outbreak in the New Orleans locker room. So I'm not sure, how many guys that's going to affect, but you can lock in a number now. I love these home dog situations in the NFL where these lines are so tight. And I think that the Panthers could surprise some people this week.
So I'm with you on Carolina in theory. My clients and I have the Panthers win total over this year. My 5% big ticket was on Carolina last week against the Jets, a game that was much closer than I anticipated after that early run out by Carolina. But the reason that game was closer is not because the Panthers took their foot off the pedal. It's because Carolina was getting beat up front on both sides of the line of scrimmage. The Jets' offensive line won the battle. The Jets' defensive line, in particular, won the battle. And when we look at the Saints, the strength of that team is very clear. Their offensive line's as good as any in the NFL. Their defensive line's as good as any in the NFL. And everything else on that team is largely mediocre. But when you dominate up front, that allows a lot of good things to happen elsewhere on the field. So are you concerned about the Saints blowing up the line of scrimmage and forcing Sam Darnold into mistakes if the Jets were able to do that last week? I was looking at some stats, and the Panthers' pass block win rate was the lowest in the NFL of any team last week, and now they're facing a better defense than the one they faced before. So does that concern you here, or is this just too many points, too much respect for the Saints? And, I'm with you in wanting to bet on Carolina. I do think there's some value on that team.
Yeah, so obviously, if the Panthers are going to cover this game, Christian McCaffrey is going to have a big game, and for him to do that, they're going to need to get some push up front on the line. Alvin Kamara on the other side, if the Saints line is dominating, he's a guy that would really worry me for this game. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see a few picks out of Jameis Winston, a few mistakes, and it really just comes down to the number and getting more than a field goal at home with what I think could be a pretty darn good Panthers team this week. So I'm willing to take a shot with and see how it goes.
Yeah, and Teddy, I'm so with you on this. I mean, the right play, again, I feel is the Panthers. I'm not going to have the balls to play them this week. I mean, I'm going to pass on this game, but I'm with you, dude. I want to play the Panthers. I need to see. I mean, this New Orleans team, they looked so amazing against Green Bay on every side of the ball. Could they be that good? I mean, not that good, but I'm going to stay out of their way for a little bit. Jimmy, let's talk some baseball. We have the Cardinals playing the Mets. Cardinals just beat them twice in a row, 7-0, 7-6. Lester versus McGill. What are you doing in this one, man?
So my clients and I cashed with the Cardinals on Monday, and we're going to take another shot with them here. We're getting a fantastic price. I mean, this is a hot St. Louis team. They've just taken over sole possession in the second NL wildcard spot. Not by much. I mean, there's no room to take their foot off the gas at all. But they've won 4 straight and 6 of their past 7. I'm not sure, what's going on with the betting markets as we keep getting these crazy great prices with St. Louis lately. This team has a lot of veteran guys, and obviously the organization has a history of winning in September. It looks like they're doing it again here. We had him on the game that Adam Wainwright came out and pitched, and he's just been phenomenal all year long. I don't feel like a ton of the mainstream media is talking about him. But John Lester has actually pitched pretty well lately as well. He allows 2 earned runs on 3 hits through 7 innings last time out against the Reds. Go back to his last 3 starts. He allowed just 1 earned run in each of his 3 starts previous to that. The Cardinals care. They want to win. You saw Yadier Molina getting an getting into an argument with Ponce de Leon in the dugout yesterday. I mean, this is a team that wants to win and cares about winning games. We got the Mets. They were off that emotional series against the Yankees over the weekend. They've dropped the first two of this series. And teams have found a way to get to Tyler McGill lately. I mean, he allowed 4 earned runs to the Nats a couple starts back. He allowed 7 earned runs to the Giants recently. So he's a good pitcher, but at the number we're getting, I think I saw plus 155s before I came on the show. I mean, this is just a play where I feel like you got to be on the St. Louis side from simply a price perspective. So give me the Cards tonight for the free play.
Yeah, I mean, the wise guys clearly pounding the Mets today. I thought some of the thought process, maybe the Mets aren't going to get swept at home by a mediocre team like St. Louis. But I think the other reason we're seeing money for the Mets is that the markets like McGill. We saw the support from McGill come against the Yankees. And you talked about some of his struggles. He's coming off a 7-inning, 10-strikeout, 1-walk gem against a Yankee lineup that dominates. He's had great starts against the Giants in recent weeks. He had a great start against the Nats, a 1-hit start against the Nats. When McGill's on, he's really tough to hit. Does that concern you here? And would you be looking at first 5 versus full game? Any thoughts in that regard for Mets Cardinals?
Yeah, so no, McGill's a great pitcher, and we bet on him a bunch in the second half of the season. I was just kind of pointing out that, lately there have been starts where he has given up some runs. As far as, I'm also a little bit concerned with the Mets offense. I haven't really trusted them a whole lot the second half of the season. They just always seem to come up short of the plate. Maybe that's all in my head, but the current form of the Cardinals and the current form of the Mets, they're in danger of falling out of this race completely. I believe they're 4 games back, and if St. Louis can get the sweep here, they'll keep the second NL wildcard spot and be in great position. They'll all but eliminate New York, and I would look towards the first 5. I'm always looking towards the first 5 when you feel like you've got a good starter on the mound, and the way Lester's been pitching, he hasn't always been the best, but he's in good current form in my opinion. So I think at this price, the Cardinals have to be the play.
Jimmy Adams, everybody. Jimmy, what do you got to promote?
Yeah, so I'll have a bunch of games loaded today and tomorrow. There will be a finalized card for tomorrow. We'll have a couple 5% top plays up for college as well as the NFL. And then the bosses did a great job of giving the viewers a fantastic deal. Just use the coupon code ADAMS7 and get $50 off a week of picks. So head over to WagerTalk, Jimmy Adams, and take advantage of all the specials we've got going on. And let's have a great weekend.
So what was that, Jimmy? What's the promo code? Jimmy7?
Adams7.
Adams7, everybody. Make sure to take advantage of that. Teddy, we got a couple of things to talk about. Jimmy, let's get out of here. Thank you for joining us. Couple of things to talk about, and then we'll take a quick break. Big game breakdown, blah, 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 blah. You want to say something, and then I got a question for you. Go ahead, bro.
Oh, I just want to explain to Arthur DeCesar's not here for the second week in a row. He took a new job. We'll talk about what job it is. But he had orientation sessions, and with a new job, it takes a little while to get approved. So we hope to have Arthur DeCesar on next week. He told me 99.9% he'd be on. He'll talk about his new gig. Of course, I took the under 99.9%, but we expect to see Arthur DeCesar rejoin our show next week.
Teddy, a lot of noise in the chat, not noise, positive stuff in the chat, and worthy of talking about for all the listeners. Daniel, Abid, these guys are all saying, does a good number always mean a good bet? And I think ultimately, Daniel, we should start with what the definition of a good number is. A good number is a good number, a number that you think is good. Carolina plus 3.5. Do you consider that good? Is that a good number? I believe, Teddy, that a good number is beating the closing line. So ultimately, if you can get the best number during that week on that particular bet, I think you're going to find that you will actually win slightly more than you lose if you play that way almost blind. And it's something Gianni talks about in great detail as well. Always try to find the best number, and ultimately that does more often than not turn into a good bet. Do you have anything to add on that?
So I have a good friend who made 11 NFL bets this last weekend, right, over the course of this spring and summer and fall. And he finished 5-6 on those bets. He ended up with a losing week. He had 2 points the best of every single number against the closing line. All right.
Wow.
It is important. Yeah. Well, he's a professional bettor. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he lost week 1 with great numbers. Again, an average of 2 points better than the closer. And there were several lines where he had more than that. Betting skills are one piece of the equation. Handicapping skills are a second piece of the equation. When your betting skills and your handicapping skills go like this, you start to make money. But getting good numbers themselves, it helps, but you got to handicap the games right. And handicapping the games right helps, but you got to get good numbers. The answer is both. But does a good number automatically mean a good bet? You're going to find differences of opinion on that. There are bettors out there. The pros will say every time, that's a great bet. You beat the closer, that's a great bet. I'm not as confident in that thought process myself.
Let's go the other way, Teddy. Dallas and LA Chargers come out at 50.5 as the total. Now it's 55. Mm-hmm. If you like the over in that game, can you still bet it?
You can, but you're in a negative expectation wager.
Exactly.
I would not make that bet.
Right.
I certainly wouldn't release it for my clients. And again, if you're talking about a half point move or a point move and the market's still moving in that direction, you still have a chance to beat the closing number. It's not like every time the market moves, you can't make the bet anymore. But when the market has had a significant move and now you're not seeing signs it's going to go up, now the markets are very comfortable where the number is at 55, that positive expectation bet at the opener is now a negative expectation bet at the current line. And that's why certainly from the tout side of the equation, you never put out plays like that. I don't.
Yeah. And I want to stop and talk really quickly about that, and then we'll take a break. And that is, guys, I would say, I have a lot of friends who bet football. They don't want my opinion. They want to bet it themselves. Blah, 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 blah. No problem. Do your thing. A lot of people chase the games that they think they like. So they'll look at the game and they'll say, okay, New England against the Jets -3.5. I love New England. Then the line moves to 5.5, or, the Dallas game at 50.5 moves to 55. I would say more often than not, the amateur bettors will make the bet regardless. They will talk themselves into, hey, I liked it at 51. It's only one more field goal. I'm going to just still take the bet. That's where things go wrong. Getting the best number might not equate to a great bet, but getting the worst number almost always equates to a bad bet. You can still win them, but it's not a good long-term strategy. Any last thoughts, and then we'll take a break?
Yeah, look, so I do the opening line report every Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 o'clock on the East Coast with Drew Martin. The whole purpose of that show is talking about this is where the line is right now. This is where it's going to go. If you like this side, bet it now. If you like this total, bet it now. If you like this side, wait. If you like this total, wait. It's all about when to get your bets down. But if you're betting the NFL or college football, you better be making bets all week. It's not about, all right, let's look at the card on Friday and see where it is. It's what do we need to bet early? What are we going to bet midweek? What are we going to bet, late week? What are we going to bet right before kickoff? And a lot of times you're going to wait for a number. If you see the number, you make the bet. If you don't see the number, you don't make the bet. That happens all the time when it comes to my handicapping strategy for football.
Yeah, and that's exactly why you guys, if you are buying our plays, you've got to buy week, month, seasonal plays, because, I put a play up on Monday, my 5% play in NFL. I had such a massive line move on that play that I had to pull the play down. Like, it's no longer available for anybody to purchase, yet it still counts. And I feel terrible for the customers, who can't get that play, but the line is gone. The value is away. And that's why you've got to play us long-term, because we're putting plays up throughout the week all the time. Let's take a quick break, everybody. We're right back with Teddy's Big Game Breakdown, Andy Lang's 3 NFL prop bets, and, of course, my daily presidential address.
Teddy Covers is red hot, cashing 67% of his plays since the beginning of August. Get 3 days of Teddy Covers selections for only $29, discounted from $69 using coupon code TEDDY3 when checking out. That's less than $10 per day and includes any 5% big ticket releases, normally priced at $35 just by themselves. As an added bonus, anyone who purchases before Friday at midnight will get $10 in WagerBucks, good toward a future Teddy Covers purchase credited to your account.
It is time for today's Big Game Breakdown. Let's talk about the Fox National Game of the Week, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific here on the left coast. USC -8.5. Let's call it 62 right now at Washington State. There are 62.5s out there for the total. And the 8.5s, you can find -8, you can find -9 as we speak. 8.5, the prevailing number. Now, if you're looking at recent track records for USC, well, the last time they covered a road opener was 2015 at Arizona. That was with Sark. They're 0-5 against the spread. But since then, they've struggled up in Pullman. Of course, 38-13 against Washington State last year, but they did, again, lose straight up on their last trip up to Pullman. Clay Helton was 46-24 at USC. That's a solid record at a normal program. It doesn't cut it for the Trojans. Now, they went to the conference title game 3 times in 6 years. Not like Helton was completely inept. But USC lost a whole lot of games they were supposed to win during that era. Whenever a coach gets fired, the number one thing I'm doing is looking at the players' quotes. I don't want coaches' quotes. I don't want administrator quotes. I want players' quotes. Safety, Isaiah Polamau. It hurt for sure. Coach has always had a huge impact on me. I signed here with him in mind. Talk about Helton. We wanted him to be the next Pete Carroll. We wanted to lift him up and him to be great. Of course, things don't go our way. All right. Team captain for a young man. Sudden change is very, very difficult. It's really difficult for all of us. I have tremendous respect for Clay Helton as a coach and as a man. The punter came out with quotes. It happened pretty quick, but it was nice to have that time. We understand as players, we got a job to do, and that's to finish off this season. So, look, Washington State is not a very good team. All right. USC's A game is significantly better than Washington State's A game. All right. Nick Rolovich, as a head coach, he's coached 61 games. He's covered the spread 21 times. All right. Significant money loser. Now, I know that USC has been a terrible favorite. Again, they've struggled in their road openers. They have only 14 covers. Their last 37 is chalk, 14-23 laying points. But, I understand they got beat last week. I expect to see USC's A game or something close to it. They're coming to play here. And facing a Washington State team that isn't very good and really can't hang with them defensively. If I'm playing, I'm laying USC or pass for this better on Saturday. There's your Big Game Breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Great take, Teddy. Couldn't agree with you more. Guys, if you don't mind, please take a second to hit that like button, and a shout out to all of you guys. We are like 50 people away from 76,000 subscribers. Just so grateful for all of the loyalty that everybody shows us. Real quick, at 100 miles an hour, one of our listeners asks, he says, some famous handicapper, who knows, we'll call him Teddy Covers, says, don't bet teasers in college football. Is that right or wrong? The answer to that, and Teddy spoke about it last week, is you got to look at the teaser, what you're going to do. You got to look at the line and the total at the same time. If the total is 70, that means they're suggesting 8 to 10 touchdowns in a game. -6 on a teaser, a 6-point teaser, total waste of time in that regard. I would not do that ever. However, if the line is 38, now all of a sudden that 6 points has a lot of value. So I wouldn't say blindly no in college football. I tend to never do teasers in college football, but I would definitely look at the total and what the bookmakers are expecting to have happen. And if you're only going to get, 8% against the total, as in 6 to 70, that's a losing proposition. Quick thoughts, Teddy? I know we're running out of time, but this is good stuff.
Yeah, so when it comes to teasers, we've done a couple of really good videos on teasers. If you're interested in betting teasers, I encourage you to check out the WagerTalk library. There's a real good video, a couple of good videos that explain basic teaser strategy. So help me. If you're going to play teasers, you better be using proper strategy. You can beat them if you use proper teaser strategy. And again, it's all explained in the videos. But if you're just randomly chunking away teasers every week, you will lose.
Well said. Andy Lang joining us, everyone. And Andy, before we get into anything, big news. You are joining the NFL presidential address. You'll only be on at the end. You're going to come on and give out your absolute best prop bets. You know this, Andy. Shut the hell up. Hey, dude, I can call Matt if you like.
No, I'd rather give out winners. Hey-o!
Hey, don't insult Matt. Matt's a god. Matt's incredible at prop bets.
This is awesome.
Andy's going to be on the NFL presidential address. We are taping it today, so make sure to check that out. Dude, we had over 10,000 views on that show last week, so I'm super pumped to have you as a cameo in there. How you doing? What's going on? How did you do this weekend?
This weekend was good. Hit a 5% NFL play, 4% NFL play. Anytime you can come out of an NFL week ahead, that's a great week. So we came out positive. We'll do it again. Props look good. I am on a 8-1 late night tennis run, number one on WagerTalk in tennis over the last 30 days. I bet you didn't expect that, but nice. Money spends the same. Tennis has been on fire, and looking to cash in on a bunch more of these props this week.
Money spends the same. Every time you come on, you give that out. Andy, Bills, Dolphins this week. You've got a prop bet for us. I'll hand it to you.
I'm really enjoying these first quarter unders if you can find the right spot. And I like the Bills and the Dolphins first quarter under. I love the activity of the defenses of both teams last week. They were able to slow down the opposing offenses, especially early in the game. The Bills held the Steelers to 0 points in the first quarter. Miami even shut out the Patriots in the first quarter. So both these defenses combined gave up 0 in their first quarters. And their secondaries really flexed their muscle. The Bills have that amazing safety duo. And the Dolphins, very, very active, did not give up a lot of big plays. Mac Jones had to dink and dunk a lot against Miami. They ended up rushing the ball 30 times. That ended up being low scoring. For the Bills, their defense played great. They held the Steelers to under 200 yards receiving and only 70 yards rushing. That was another low-scoring game. The Bills are now 12-6-2 to the under in the first quarter in their last 20 games. And this number is 9.5. So you need a touchdown and a field goal to get over. And this is going to be probably a slow-paced first quarter. I like these first quarters because, unlike the second quarter, there's not a rush to score at the very end. I think the clock is going to be running because there's going to be a lot of short passes and runs. So I think this number is way too high. I love this first quarter under for the Bills and Dolphins.
And I was going to ask you a follow about why first quarter versus first half, and you just explained it right there. Because you have that 2-minute warning and the desire to score before halftime that you don't have at the end of the first quarter. Sometimes you can get 2 scores in those final 2 minutes, making the first quarter the preferable wager for Mr. Lang. Well, let's talk about Joe Mixon. You like him over 64.5 yards rushing. Tell me about Joe Mixon this week and why we like him to run the football.
Well, in the player props, there's a lot of crossovers between the player prop world and fantasy football. And over the last 3 years, Joe Mixon, by the numbers, has actually been one of the most underrated fantasy football running backs. And I think this number, again, is way too low considering he's healthy. They're putting this up at 64.5 yards rushing. Last week, he had a big game, 127 yards. A great sign was that he got 29 carries compared to his backup only getting 5. So this is nowhere near a split like we see from other teams. This is Joe Mixon and Joe Mixon only. Last week, the Bears gave up 72 yards to the Rams running back Darrell Henderson on only 16 carries. And if you watch the game, Henderson's carries were fairly late in the game. This is going to be a different script. I think the Bengals are going to use Mixon a lot more than the Rams use their running backs. Key injury, the Bears have an injury to their nose tackle, Eddie Goldman. So banged up interior defensive line is not good for stopping the run. This number just feels really low for a running back who's going to get a lion's share of the carries against a defense that's shown it can be exposed. I think the books are not adjusting properly. This number is way too low. I'll be on the over.
So I'm really interested in your take on the Bears defense here, because the prevailing thought process is that, the Rams beat them up last week, but Chicago still got a really tough defense. You're saying maybe that Bears defense isn't as good as advertised.
Well, they had a couple of blown coverages, and in week one, it's going to happen. There's going to be some missteps. But the Rams did what good offenses do. They take advantage of it. And the Bengals, I thought the Bengals looked better than I thought they were going to. I thought we were going to see struggles from Joe Burrow because I wasn't sure his knee was healthy. But instead, he looked great. Jamar Chase looked great. T. Higgins was good. They still have Tyler Boyd. It's a pretty balanced offense. I was very impressed with it. And Mixon is probably their best skill position player right now. And if you're going to take advantage of your best skill position player, why not lean on him again after he just showed that he can handle 29 carries and get you 120 yards rushing?
Andy Lang, great take, Andy. And especially, that secondary in Chicago looked terrible. If they start making adjustments, that will open up some lanes for Joe Mixon. Michael Pittman, you've got a prop bet on him. What might it be?
I love when people from a certain city have just kind of some inside takes and inside information from local media on their local teams. And me being from Indianapolis, I have said this Colts team is rough. My 4% play was Seattle to come in and beat Indianapolis, and they did just that. I have a lot of concerns about this Colts offense, and I got to say, I was concerned about Pittman going back to last year. I just don't think he looks that great. He doesn't jump off the screen when he's playing. And last week, the Colts offensive line, which is supposed to be their strong point, they got manhandled. Wentz looked terrible. And, this total is 4.5 reception the books have on this. So I'm playing the under. Pittman has only gone over this total receptions in 2 games in his career. One was against a terrible Texans defense last year. The other was against a bad Titans defense last year. Last week against Seattle, he only got 4 targets, and he had 3 receptions for 29 yards. That's supposed to be your big number one receiver. I don't buy it. I think the defense is going to overwhelm the Colts yet again. The Bears only had 206 yards passing against them. I'm going to do a little piggyback off of this play. If you believe in Michael Pittman going under this receptions, which I do, go ahead and look at Zach Pascal over 3.5 receptions. You can get that at plus 130 right now for the Colts. Last week, he had 4 receptions on 5 targets. He might be Wentz's favorite target right now, not Pittman. So you might be able to get a little double play out of this Colts offense by taking Pittman under 4.5 receptions and grabbing Zach Pascal over 3.5 receptions at plus money.
Andy Lang, everybody. And Andy, you're so right on that Indy offensive line. I was shocked at how anemic they played last week. And man, it's going to be fascinating to see if they come back any better. But Carson Wentz,
highest payroll. Dude, highest payroll for an offensive line in the NFL, and they look like that.
Yeah, and
well, the offensive line might be saying that about Wentz.
The worst offensive line. He was just getting beaten up all the time. I'll have some time to throw the ball. Yeah, no. Andy, what do you got to promote?
5% NFL play is up. We cashed it last week, which brings us to 4-0 lifetime and 5% NFL plays. So there's a lot of 4% and 5% players out there. That is up, and you guys just got done talking about the numbers, and I can't stress it enough. Get these NFL plays early before the lines move. It's so important. Teddy, you talk about how important half points are. And so when we put these plays up early in the week, get them, lock in the best number, because once the weekend hits, that's when the average bettors come in and start pounding away. So I'm still happy with the numbers on this 5% play. I recommend it. But please get it before the weekend.
Andy Lang, everyone, thanks for joining us, brother. And guys, wishing me a good fast I wish you it back. I am seeing what you're saying. Happy Yom Kippur for everybody. Tomorrow starts tonight. I will be on the show tomorrow, starving and likely drinking coffee, which I shouldn't be, but so be it. Let's go. Daily presidential address. I mean, come on. Teddy's big game breakdown. The music is so groovy. We just shake our heads and move our arms. And now the daily presidential address has got a groove to it. Oh, man, I'm feeling good. Nice to be back. Couple of days off. I want to let everybody know NFL presidential address is taped today. It will likely be up tomorrow morning, so make sure to check that out. And a massive thank you to all the loyal people out there with your comments, etc., etc. I know this goes on Twitter, so I want to make sure everybody knows Teddy covers a ridiculous start this year in football. 8-3 in college, 3-1 in NFL. Number one, just outstanding stuff. So make sure to check Teddy out over at WagerTalk.com. As for your free plays tonight, look, I got 3 baseball plays for you guys. I do have 1 baseball play that I did release to my clients, but my 3 baseball plays, and I'm putting a small amount, about 1% of my bankroll on each. San Diego and San Fran over the total. Cincinnati and Pittsburgh over the total. And the Yankees -1.5. And I know Teddy and I spoke about this at the beginning of the show. Look for dogs. Don't bet on these must-win teams. A bunch of them are not very good. Well, I think the Yankees are very good, and they are streaky. We saw them lay down a ton of wins in a row, and then they hit the skids. I think we're going to see them go on a run again. I think the Yankees, you should be looking to bet on a regular basis moving forward. Tonight, we're going to take them at -1.5. Teddy, it's Shawarma Wednesday for me. Brother, take us home.
Sure. That's going to wrap it for the Wednesday edition of Wager Talk Today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to hang out with us. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel. 9 a.m. here on the left coast. Noon for you back east. Between now and then, enjoy the games. Good luck.
Would you like to bet $20 and win $100 at BetMGM regardless of your wager's outcome and get $100 in free wager bucks? Just go to wt.buzz/MGM for more details and find out if you're eligible for this amazing offer.